Chapter 34. Deep water pulled Mrs. Duong and me into its violent embrace. Years of growing up near the beach had taught me how to stay afloat in the turbulent waves. I kicked myself upward, and her hand slipped off me. I surfaced, and all I could see was the vastness of the ocean surrounding me. A few heads bobbed in the darkness, but none of them belonged to Mrs. Duong. The boat was still close by. I could hear the loggers' laughter. Dan's sister's cry seemed to come from 1,000,000 miles away. "Auntie, where are you?" I called out. "Please, Auntie Duong, answer me." A flapping noise startled me. I turned and saw Mrs. Duong fighting desperately to keep her head above water. She saw me and struggled harder. I swam to her and grabbed the small of her back, lifting her upward. She coughed and took in several deep breaths. I kept her on her back, floating atop the water. The rocking motion of the waves seemed to quiet her. "Relax, Auntie. It's all right now," I whispered to her. My teeth were chattering in the initial cold. "Thank you, love," she said softly, her eyes closed tightly. We floated for about half an hour until the rain came back. The drops that fell from the heavens were much warmer than the water we were submerged in. Unfortunately, the wind also picked up, propelling the waves higher. Mrs. Duong let out a nervous cry each time they splashed her face. "We are going to ride the waves. Do you understand me?" I told her. "Push your body up and let the water flow underneath you. Can you do that?" "Yes, darling." But it was too late. In her fearful eyes, I could see the reflection of a powerful wave towering above the sea's surface. It crashed down on us like a ton of bricks. I held on to her as we were pushed downward. She grabbed my face, trying to climb on top of me. At last, our natural buoyancy carried us back to the surface. Mrs. Duong vomited out the liquid she had swallowed. Her face paled, and I could see the whites of her eyes glisten in the dark. Pushing me away, she said in desperation, "Leave me." "No," I said. "Listen to me and calm down." "No, leave me." She fought to get away, but I held her. "Please, Auntie," I cried. "You're hurting me." She flapped the water and touched my face with her cold hand. "No, love, leave me." Her voice was determined. "I can't do it anymore, and I don't want you to die with me. Tell your mother goodbye when you see her." Tears spilled down her face. "Let me go see my children." She shifted her gaze past my shoulder. "Over there, Mr. Duong is waiting for me." With a mighty shove, she escaped my grip and sank into the water. I reached for her, but she again pushed me away. From below the surface, her white face smiled at me with tenderness before the darkness swallowed her. I looked up to the soggy heavens, realizing that I was alone. "No," I sobbed. "Please come back, Auntie Duong." I hit the water in frustration. "Don't leave me, please, I'm scared." My voice ran helplessly across the ocean. Around me, the rain made a low hissing noise. The thought of thousands of meters of water filled with lurking sea monsters made me dizzy with fear. I began to swim, heading west from the faintly lit North Star and crying inconsolably with each stroke. I do not know how long I swam. All that I remember is gliding across the water as if I were running a marathon. The will to live powered me with a single thought: swimming forward. Then my thoughts shifted to my warm home, freshly cooked food, and a steaming cup of hot tea. My heart beat wildly in my chest. With a new surge of endorphins, I strained my eyes for a sight of dry land. Suddenly, the muscles in my lower back jerked into an enormous knot. Pain shot up my spine and paralyzed my right arm. My fall from the tree earlier that afternoon had left me bruised, and now my tissues were locked in a spasm. To ease the discomfort, I swam sideways like a fish with a broken fin. Sometime later, I turned on my back and floated. The turbulent water massaged my muscles, bringing temporary relief. The urge to live stirred in me, and I again swam toward the west. Time crawled. My skin blistered from the salt. I tried to drink the rain, not realizing that each time I opened my mouth, I couldn't help swallowing seawater, which was causing dehydration. Finally, the rain stopped. The sky draped like a large starry blanket over the world. The moonlight painted the tiny waves around me the color of my grandfather's hair. I lifted my hands and laughed hysterically. My fingers dripped lustrous metallic water like mercury. Specks of light danced on the ocean's surface, beckoning me to join them. Time melted into space, letting me flow with it into oblivion. Fall with me, the sea murmured in my ears, promising the happy incantation of a new freedom. Fear had no meaning, and neither did pain. All I felt was an absolute calmness, spreading into every fiber of my being. It told me to give up fighting. Like an obedient child, I stopped swimming. I let myself sink, and the water closed over my head. It pulled me down to the center of the earth, but to my surprise, my descent stopped abruptly. My feet touched the roughness of sand. Realization lit up my numb mind. Land. The shore couldn't be far away. I shot up like a bullet, gathering my strength to swim forward. The indifferent sea spat me out onto a sandy beach. I embraced the wet sand, kissing it happily.